everybody. My dad thinks his podcast is amazing, so please subscribe, give it 5 stars or whatever, and maybe he'll finally stop talking about it. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today, another great friend of mine is coming by the show to talk about her journey so far. I've actually met this person and she's in a complete other realm of the world. She's actually time traveling today because it's tomorrow for her right now.
She's in New Zealand.
She's in New Zealand. Welcome, my very good friend, Emma Simmons.
Hi.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
I'm so good. Look at you guys. You look so awesome.
I was just introducing you and telling everybody that obviously you're time traveling because it's tomorrow morning for you.
Yeah, Monday morning.
Over in New Zealand.
It's a public holiday here. Hooray for Labor Day. Yay.
Oh, really?
Nice.
It's your Labor Day. How cool.
Yay for a day
And
off.
actually, it's springtime there too, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And it's starting to get, although yesterday was really cold, but it's starting to get nice and warm. So yeah, we do, it's all backwards down here. We do Christmas on the beach with a barbecue and our jandals, and we go for a swim on Christmas Day, and yeah.
That sounds fantastic. I'll be right over.
Yeah, cool. I'll see you in 26 hours.
Right. Hey, it's okay. That's okay to me.
Emma, I don't think we're really that far away in our sobriety dates, are we? Probably just about.
I think we're the same litter.
5 days, maybe.
Yeah,
We're really close. Yeah, we came in, and one thing about Emma, I noticed when you first started, you had this thing where you always wore a onesie. I always thought that was so funny. My daughter, who obviously she doesn't hear the meetings, but she would see you talk, and she always said, "Well, where's that girl with the deer onesie?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's Emma.
It became a thing, and I didn't think about it, because all of the meetings, all of the daily check-ins, my time are at 7 a.m. So I would roll out of bed, put on my onesie, because it was the middle of winter when I started. It was May, or heading into winter. It was cold in the morning, so I put on my onesie and I would jump on a meeting, and I didn't really think too much about it. And I think that's that's like the best example of how the New Zealand culture and the American culture are very different. We will go to the supermarket in our onesie or in our track pants, or in, it's okay. So I didn't really think about it, and it kind of wasn't until I guess American people started mentioning it that I was like, oh, that's not a thing. Okay. Oops.
It is more so now, I think, especially after COVID. I always tell people, like, I live in very comfortable pants, like leggings or sweatpants. And if I put jeans on, then people are like, where are you going?
Yeah, all dressed up.
Right. Like, jeans have become the new dress pants, and leggings have become the new jeans.
Yes.
Actually, we went shopping the other day, and I was like, I have to buy something. I have to have adult clothing. Like, it's not often I have to go out and actually, like, dress, but, like, I need actual, like, pants.
Yeah,
like big girl pants.
I've started living in linen, like, wide leg pants. I'm like, yes, they're not quite like track pants. They're not jeans. Like, that's it.
I love linen.
But actually, I've got my husband's business award ceremony, and it's black tie, and like every year I get all dolled up. It's my Instagram profile, so you've probably seen that picture because I look hot. And so I'm like going through the process of buying a new dress, because that's what us women do. And I was looking at shoes, and I was like, oh, I haven't worn heels. Like, I think the only time I wear heels is to this black tie event now. Like, I used to wear heels every day going into the office. I would wear a pencil skirt and heels and a blazer, and I would look super professional. But now I work from home 100% of the time. And so, yeah, I was trying on some heels yesterday, and I was like, oh, my poor feet. I don't want to do it. Can I wear sneakers to black tie?
They're terrible. They're terrible.
Just to get some flats, I guess. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Good. I don't know.
But you've seen me. I'm itty bitty. Like, I'm teeny.
Yeah.
I need all the height I can get.
Yeah, and I actually got to meet you in Dallas, which was really cool. That was really
I realized I was wearing this top because
You're wearing the shirt. Yeah.
I met Ryan. I came over. That was like our 1 year sobriety celebration for our group, and
Awesome.
I met Ryan at the cafe for breakfast right before we all went and got matching tattoos. And this
Yeah.
dude I've never met rocks up, and he's like helping us pick out our tattoos. Hi, friends.
I wanted him to get a tattoo. I was like, why didn't you get a tattoo with everybody? He's like, I don't know.
Oh, we'll do
It
it.
was a time thing.
We'll do it next time. We'll do it next year. I'm
I'll
coming over in
pressure him
May.
into it next time. Yeah.
Oh, you are going to come back over May. Oh, good. I can't
For
wait.
sure.
Sweet.
My life savings is now just to travel to the States to meet up with my sober friends.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about being in New Zealand. So that you obviously, you've seen the culture in America. You've been here. You see it on meetings all the time. What are the real differences, kind of like over there versus here? Like, options for NA drinks, things like that, or
just the sober culture in
sober
general.
culture in general over there.
It's definitely growing. The sober culture is definitely growing. There's definitely, and I think that's everywhere as well. I don't know if that's necessarily a New Zealand thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can get alcohol-free options at most bars and restaurants, and they're now starting to stock like 0% beers. But we don't have, like, I see have you got Athletic Brewing Company behind you? Like, we don't have the Athletic in New Zealand. And when I was in the States, I was guzzling that. It's so good. We do have some amazing craft breweries down here, and we've got if you're into if wine's when your thing, we've got an amazing Sauvignon Blanc, the Gießen Vineyard down in, I think it's in Marlborough in the South Island, which they've just put in like new vats. There was a big thing in the New Zealand Herald, our national newspaper, saying they've put in new. Do you brew wine in vats? I don't know. They've put in new things to make more alcohol-free wine, like specialized. So it's definitely becoming a thing, which is really, really cool. It's growing. Yeah, alcohol-free culture is growing. I still don't know anyone in real life other than my reframe friends that are alcohol-free. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. Well, no, that's not really a lie. There's a couple of like celebrities that I follow in New Zealand that I've like imposed myself into their sober life. They don't have I'm just inserting myself in there. Yeah, but they listening to their podcasts and watching their documentaries helped me get sober in the beginning. So I'm, forever grateful to Paddy Gower, who he actually was the host of he was the MC of my husband's award ceremony, and that's when I first met him, and I've like harassed him ever since. I've like, he's got podcasts and he's got documentaries, and so I fangirl over him. But it was nice to like actually give him a hug, and yeah, he kickstarted my sobriety, and he doesn't know me from a bar of soap. Oh, that's a fun thing that New Zealanders do. We say weird things, and you guys don't know what we're saying. And
I love it. We say weird things too, especially in the South. And, I was born and raised in the South in the U.S. And so you were like right there on the border. I mean, Northern Kentucky, Ohio is kind of right there on the Mason-Dixon line. But like one of the biggest things that I said when we first met each other is like one of the first times we went to the grocery store, I said, get a buggy. And he was like, a what? I said, a buggy. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, a buggy. He goes, you mean a shopping cart?
Oh, we call it a trolley.
See? I like that so much better. A trolley.
Yeah.
I said a buggy.
I was talking yesterday in one of my meetings about playing Spotlight with a torch. And they were like, you still have torches? Like, what are you burning in New Zealand? I was like, Flashlight, yeah. It's like, no, a torch, yeah. So just there's so many little things that I say that I didn't realize were very Kiwi and very not American. It's a thing. It's become a thing, particularly after. So I host meetings with our sobriety app, and sometimes my chat mod is my boss, like the head of the coaching community. And after every meeting, he'll be like, the nugget of today was, and it's just like something dumb that I said that doesn't translate well. And he knows that I mean well, but it's like, yeah, some of the dumb shit.
I love it. I love it. I love language, though. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about language, right? Is you play around with it and it's so universally non-universal. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's great. I mean, we love to travel and we're big on when we travel, we immerse ourselves in that culture, right? Like you're outside of your comfort zone. That's the whole point of it. Why do you travel and go to other countries if you're not going to participate and play? And I love that. And maybe like social media, TikTok, especially during COVID, everybody kind of like, I don't want to say came together, but you get on there and you see people from all over the world and you start just sort of playing with the differences of language. And I think it's great. Like, saying diesel instead of gas, right? Like gas makes no sense. It's not a gas, it's a liquid. You know what I mean? Or petrol, same thing. So I love finding those little nuances and those little differences. I think it expands our minds and gives us something fun to play with. Language is supposed to be fun, and you're supposed to play with it.
See, I think we're in New Zealand, we're kind of blessed. Like all of it, well, not all of the majority of our TV is from either America or the UK, pretty much. We do have a lot of New Zealand content as well, but our songs are like a lot of our social media, that kind of stuff, it's content from America. So we're very familiar with American things and sayings and how things work in America. And I didn't realize how little Americans knew about the rest of the world.
Oh yeah. It's not something that is truly taught or honestly celebrated. And I say that because in school and in life, it seems like it is that you want to embrace other culture, but it's not really something, we primarily speak one language in this country, even though there's not an official language, things like that. And so that's why we like to travel, because we like to see the differences, and it really does make you realize, and I think this is for everybody, not just America, how small you are in the grand scheme of things. And I have a question for you. So, and we're kind of already on this topic. What was the biggest surprise or coolest thing or weirdest thing, whatever you want to say, when you came to America that really you were just kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this, or you thought it was just really odd? Or fascinating?
Buc-ee's.
Oh,
The girls took me to Buc-ee's in
Good old
Texas.
Buc-ee's.
They filmed me. Oh, and Walmart. They filmed me in Walmart, and they were like, "You look like you're stoned or drunk or something," because I was just walking around like, "What is going on?" And it was just so. There's no need for a gas station to have all of that. I don't understand. Like I've been to America as a kid, quite a few times. My parents are Disney fanatics, so America itself wasn't a big thing, but I think traveling by myself as an adult, so came over to America without my husband and my kids, and kind of that. It was big. Like everything was big, physically big, especially Texas. I mean, everything's bigger in Texas, right? So it was absolutely sensation overload. And everything is more intense. So like, I was staying with a friend, and I was borrowing their shampoo and conditioner, and we have the same brand in New Zealand, the same scent in New Zealand, but it was overpowering in America. It's much more toned back in New Zealand. And like the bread, I was like, I was feeling unwell. I was a bit jet lagged. I was like, can I just have some toast with a bit of butter on it? And the toast was sweet. I was like, why is there sugar in your bread? Like, everything. Oh, and the coffee is shit over there. Sorry, it's so terrible. I bought over like a kilo of coffee beans, and I was like, guys, I'm going to blow your mind with some amazing New Zealand coffee. So I bought over all these coffee beans. I ground the beans. I got the French press out, and I made coffee exactly as I make it at home in New Zealand, and it still tasted like shit in Texas. I was like, your water's broke. I don't know. Like
water. I was going to say, it's
gotta
the
be the
water.
water.
How do you break water, guys?
Listen,
they can find a way, I promise you.
I'm from Texas, was raised there. My brother still lives in Dallas, so I totally hear you about that. And it's funny because I knew about Buc-ee's before it ever sort of like traveled out and about. And it's funny because I still don't have the infatuation with Buc-ee's. Like, we'll stop and go in, and you and Lily are more all about it, which is great. Like, I mean,
I'm all
whatever.
about it. I like to people watch in there, because it's like,
you like a one-stop shop.
It's a Walmart gas station is what it is. It's incredible.
I actually made a TikTok about this. I was like, I really only go inside of Buc-ee's maybe 10% of the time that we
Yes.
stop there,
Yes.
because I'm like, it's overstimulating and there are people everywhere. And the only time I will specifically ask to stop at Buc-ee's is if I have to pee, because they have nice, clean bathrooms.
I didn't go to the
doors that go
bathrooms.
all the way. Listen,
That's
I've
what it's
heard.
all about.
I'll have to go back.
one of the things about this country that I don't know why we can't overcome this is in the women's bathrooms. Why do we not have doors that go all the way down? Like, they're like, you can literally like look underneath them and be like, hello, what are you doing over
I
there?
think that's just not an American problem. That's an everywhere problem.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, when we went to Europe, it wasn't like that, but you have a lot more like co-ed restrooms too, and like single stalls. But back to the coffee situation, we went to Paris, what was it, like 2018, 19, somewhere around in there. And we went for New Year's. And I had been before, when I was a teenager, my brother studied abroad there for a year. So I was able to go there and not do so much of the touristy stuff, like stayed with his host family and really had like an authentic experience. And it was amazing. And I loved that. So we took our daughter there and we went and, we would, obviously go into cafes, and he's like, why are the coffees so tiny here? I was like, just wait until you drink a coffee.
Because you don't need it.
No, because you don't need a carafe of coffee, right? And it's very concentrated. You're not drinking like water with, some coffee in it. And I think that you've been ruined ever since that trip, because we come back and he's just like,
I think the closest thing I got to a like half decent coffee in Dallas was we went to a little cafe that my friend, Janae, she's been on the podcast already. I was staying with her. She took me to a local cafe, and I was like, can I get a quadruple shot latte? And it was passable. Like, it wasn't amazing, but it was passable. And they're like, really, 4? Yes. And they were like, and what milk would you like? I was like, just milk. I don't understand. They're like, do you want half and half? Do you want 2%? Do you want this? Do you want that? And I was like, I don't understand. Just from a cow. That's like
from a cow.
I don't understand what you're saying. And bless Janae, she just kind of stood there and smiled and let me fumble my way through a coffee
Let
order.
you do your thing.
The other thing that changes your life when you travel to is chocolate. You realize how gross the chocolate here is.
I bought over a good couple of kilos of chocolate as well. Did you? I don't think I shared that with you, Ryan. I'm sorry. You missed out.
Well, I'm gonna Venmo you like $1,000, and you can send me all the coffee and the chocolate. Okay, that's a problem.
There are some things that we are very back to front in New Zealand with, like, we don't have Venmo, we don't have Costco, we don't have, I don't know, we don't have so many things. We don't, our stores close at 5:30, 6 o'clock every night. Like, there's no late night. They do late night shopping on a Thursday, but it's kind of weird. Often shops are closed on a Sunday still. Like, in some ways, we are very still in the 1950s. But we had
so that like I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to be sassy and say, but we have had 3 female leaders of our country, so we might be winning.
That makes it all worth it.
But yeah, it is so that workers can have a can have a break, can spend time with their family. There's more important things in life than working, and we're big on
absolutely.
We call it the quarter acre dream. I don't know if that translates in American very well, but that everyone wants, like the people migrated from the UK hundreds of years ago to New Zealand to buy a block of land and have a house and have a garden and have that patch of grass and all that kind of stuff. And why live that dream or why have that dream or why live here with that dream if you're too busy working to enjoy it? So yeah, we're a big outdoorsy kind of culture, and you need time off work to enjoy it.
So when you were starting out in the recovery process, when you're over there, was there more options than just looking online? I mean, I don't know what kind of options you had to look for when you were like, I've got to stop.
I think for a lot of us, AA seemed really daunting. The idea of going to this is going to sound bad, and I mean it with all the love, but this idea of a dingy, dark church hall on a Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. when it's cold outside. Like, it was winter, it's cold, it's dark, none of that appealed to me. And I didn't want to sit down in a room full of people and have to say, my name is Emma and I'm an alcoholic. I still don't identify with the term alcoholic. It just doesn't sit with me. I think it's that whole kind of dingy, it's just got icky connotations, and I still haven't been able to come to terms with that yet. So that was not something I would ever have to. I'd consider it now, because I think I'm quite comfortable in knowing that I'm alcohol free and being really confident in my sobriety. But there was something about, going to an AA meeting that was terrifying for me. But I'm trying to think, I can't, so many people, I have no idea how I found Reframe or how Reframe found me. It popped up on my algorithm on Instagram or something, and I downloaded it, and, here we are. But I do remember listening to an amazing New Zealand broadcaster, Petra Baggist. She's got a podcast called Grey Areas, and it's about, being a woman and getting older and getting grey hairs and all the shit we go through as a woman. Amazing podcast. And she did an episode on menopause, and one of the things they said, or perimenopause, one of the things they talked about was how alcohol so heavily impacts you after a certain age and when you start going through perimenopause. And I was like, shit. Well, that's, makes a bit of sense. And I think that kind of sparked a little something in my brain. And then simultaneously, Paddy Gower had this documentary on alcohol. Yeah, he did this whole series on various things, and one of the episodes was on alcohol, and I was like, And then I met Paddy at a function, and I was like, all right, this could be, all sinking in for a reason. But yeah, there's a couple of, it's just not, we're just not as, we're 5 million. We're smaller than, I think we're smaller than Dallas. We're smaller than a city, we're 5 million for the whole country.
Yeah, it's the same way here. I think that AA works for some people. I think that's more of a universal thing, but that stigma is still here too. And something that, and I'm not part of the Reframe community. I'm part of just the sober mental health community as a whole. But I like that it's becoming more of a personalized experience. If you identify as an alcoholic, if you identify as a non-drinker, whatever works for you, because for so long, and this is just the whole world, things are a certain way, right? And it's a label, labels, which I understand the origin of that, right? Because you have to identify and acknowledge and understand something in order to actually really move through it. So I get it. But I think it's a really beautiful thing that that's starting to evolve. And I see so much acceptance in that community, right? There's not as, there's not as much animosity. You know what I mean? It's more of an acceptance of meeting each other where you're at. I am a healthy moderator. I have a lot of mental health stuff. Alcohol, substance is not one of them. But, it's been 5 months ago. I've talked about this a little bit. I quit drinking. I couldn't tell you a day or anything like that, but it was just one of those things where I was like, this isn't serving me anymore. It's not good for my mental health because it clouds my mind. And with the people around me getting healthy and getting sober, it made me want to be more present. And I think that that is the beautiful thing about this entire community, right? It's not about well, they can do this or we have to do that. It spreads like anything else, like a ripple effect. When the people I love and care about are present and healthy and active, I want to show up for that too. And I've really seen that blossom, and I really, really like that the sober community is not as secluded anymore. It's not that, if the AA meetings in a church work for you, great. There's no knocking on that, but there's so many options, and I really love to see that.
Totally. And one of the things I was going to say I don't push it, but I'm really supportive of in my meetings is that find the language that works for you. If saying that you're sober if that feels icky, then you don't have to say that you're sober. You can say that you're free from alcohol. You can say, I don't drink anymore. You can say, I don't drink. You can say, I'm an alcoholic. There are so many, you can say, I'm sober curious. You can say, I'm just having a break. There are so many different ways to identify it and so many different words for it. And you don't have to, if it doesn't feel right, if it makes you feel icky, then you don't have to be that. That doesn't have to be what your journey is. And I wish I hope, my hope is that, you know, being with Reframe and being with the sober community, and I'm sober very loud and proud now, is that we can take away some of that stigma, that it's okay to be alcohol free, it's okay to be sober. And one of the other things I have realized since joining Reframe and going through this journey is that you don't have to have alcohol use disorder, which is the medical term for it, for an alcohol addiction. You don't have to have alcohol use disorder to want to address your relationship with alcohol. You don't have to be diagnosed. You don't have to be drinking a certain amount. You don't have to be, you know, I think the like recommended or safe amount of alcohol in New Zealand is very outdated. It needs to be refreshed, and there's some great new research coming out. Canada's doing a great job of promoting that research. But if you are having a glass of wine a night with dinner and you realize that, you know, your brain's getting foggy and you're not sleeping, like that would be within the recommended guidelines. But if that doesn't feel good for you and you're having trouble breaking that habit, then come to then address your relationship with alcohol, start a journey. Or you could be able to go 2 weeks without drinking, not a problem, and then you get absolutely shit-faced on every Friday night. You might want to address that. You know, it's so complex. There are so many different reasons for wanting to address your relationship with alcohol. At the end of the day, if it doesn't feel good, then let's change it. And you don't have to justify why it doesn't feel good. It can just, you know, just like I ended up getting really bad arthritis and swollen knuckles in my hand, and I realized now that was a perimenopause symptom that was being flared up by drinking and all of that kind of stuff. But that was one of the other kind of, I guess, things that I was like, maybe I should give this a crack, see how we go.
Reevaluate this.
Yeah, reevaluate. Let's look at this. I feel good right now.
I love that. I love how you bring that to attention, because that can overflow in anything in your life, right? Like even beyond, I mean, it could be anything. It could be if you are doing something, there's a person in your life, there's literature. I mean, I'm just kind of like throwing out, you know, straws here. Anything, like anything that you're consuming.
I was pushing myself to run a marathon. I ran a couple of half marathons, and I was like, yeah, all right, next time I'm going to do a marathon and it's going to be awesome. My hips are so screwed. There's no way. Like, I struggled through half marathons, but I was so determined, and eventually I had to be like, actually, Em, your hips and running don't match so well. So let's just let's try some different exercise. Let's do something different, because running the marathon
it forces you to like check in with yourself and go, hey, like, you know, if you want to continue this, that's fine, but maybe just like take a time out and decide like, why are you doing this? What purpose are you serving? Is this something that's really like benefiting your overall health? Yeah. Because you're right, as we age and as we change how we identify and the things that serve us, those change too. So like running could have been something that once upon a time gave you, or anyone, like that was your mental health and it was good for your body. But then as you age, that is now the thing that's hurting you. So you have to pivot. And I like that too. You know, you said, I think on a podcast, Ryan, like, there's no like end. Like, it's not like, oh, once you get here. It is a lifelong journey of reinventing myself and figuring things out and pivoting and moving and growing. Like on my deathbed, I want to learn something new about myself. I go, shit, I didn't know that. You know, like I think that's what it's all about.
Isn't it a wild realization that, like, I think when so many of us start this journey, we're like, okay, cool. So I'll give up alcohol and then I won't be addicted and then I'll be fine and then I'll be cured. And then like, as you go through this journey, you're like, that's another thing. Like it's not right. Like you don't, like, there's no point where you can be like, okay, well, if I've not drunk for X number of days, months, years, I'm now cured and we're good. Like it's a lifelong change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's work. I've said it many times. It's work every day, and it's work that no one sees except yourself, because you're putting the work in literally every single day.
But it feels so fucking good, right?
It does, and it feels every morning I wake up. It's the best I've ever felt. Even the next day, no matter what happened that next day, waking up that next morning is the best I've ever felt. Every single morning I wake up sober.
It's like I've shared this with a few people, but I don't share it too much. But I'm like, guys, I found the secret of life. Like, I've unlocked it. You just don't drink. Like, you just don't put alcohol in your body. And it's like, it's the secret for having a fucking amazing life. Like, it is so, well, I was going to say it's so simple, but it's horrifically hard. But it's such a simple, like, it's this epiphany that I've had. And my husband, like you, is not alcohol free, doesn't have the same relationship as I have with alcohol, but and he can open a bottle of wine and have one glass and be fine with it. That wasn't me. That wasn't my journey. But he's even noticed, he's, given up alcohol he very rarely drinks now. And when he does, like, he went out for dinner with some friends and had 2 beers and then was like, I felt like shit. And I was like, yeah, you did, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, the last time that I drank, it wasn't quite summer, but we went on a vacation and we went to the beach. And I was like, because even when he became sober, he's like, if you want to drink, drink. Like, I don't want to be treated like a handicap in the room, right? Like, my sobriety is mine, and that is empowering for me. And I've never been a heavy drinker to begin with, but we were on vacation and I was like, oh, I'm going to have like a pina colada or something, right? Like on the beach. And I was like, I'm hot, I'm dehydrated, my stomach hurts, I have a headache. And you and Lily are like playing volleyball on the beach and swimming, and you're like up and you're like, I'm ready to go. And she wants to do stuff. And I'm just like, God, I feel like shit. And I think that was the moment that I'm like,
just one drink could make you feel just that, like, justy enough to not want to do anything.
Yeah, and I guess you don't think about it as much, too, when you have someone next to you drinking and they feel like shit, too. And it's like, oh, my gosh, do you want to go get, like, greasy food the next day? Yeah, and because you're sharing in it and you make a joke about it. Yeah. But when you're the only one in the room, you're like, this is just not it. This is ridiculous. What am I doing? This isn't even fun. I can't even function. But yeah, I love that. And it makes everything else, it makes you reevaluate, like I said, everything else in your life. And when I started my mental health journey, I really started evaluating things like the music you listen to, the books you read, the people you're around. And I don't say that to be like judgmental, just what sort of energy and vibration are you bringing in and surrounding yourself with? There's an appropriate time to have, the depressive, like morose moments, like obviously feel your feelings. But if you are constantly just ingesting things that make you feel like shit, make you think like shit, and lower your frequency, you melt into that. You become that. And before you know it, you don't recognize yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's how it is with alcohol. That's how it is with mental health. And I think that's how it is. I think we're learning that even outside of, substance abuse disorders, that there's a bigger problem there. My brother told me he's been sober for 4.5 years. He's like, alcohol and drugs they are symptoms of the problem. So it's just like you go to the doctor and you have an infection, right? Well, your problem is not really the infection. That was caused by the initial wound that was there, but you have to treat the infection first. And I had never heard that before. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. And then you relate that to other things in your life. Like, why am I in a bad mood? Why am I eating like shit? Why am I always tired? So I've learned a lot just from sort of feeding off of your energy and this podcast. I mean, it's really just, I think, touched a lot of people and made them want to self-evolve as well, even outside of alcohol, which I think is beautiful.
Totally. And I think one of the amazing things, and one of the things I forget, is that in this sobriety community, in the reframe community, everyone is working to better themselves. It's not just, it starts with, I'm not going to put alcohol in my body anymore because I want to be alcohol free. So you start that, and then you realize that maybe you were putting alcohol in your body for a reason, because you were trying to numb something or hide something or escape something. And so let's dig down into that and do the work and heal that and address that. And so because you're surrounded with this community of beautiful people that are all trying to do better and heal themselves and fight and live a really healthy, beautiful life, it hugely pushes you up and bumps you up. And then you go out into the real world and not everyone's doing that. Like, not everyone's on the same journey, but I don't know about you, Ryan, but I, like, in the beginning in particular, I spent, like, I was on every meeting I could get on. I was balls deep into Reframe, baby. I was doing I was doing every meeting I could, and I'm still, I work for Reframe. I work with Reframe now, and so I'm hosting the meetings, and I'm chat modding, and I'm in the forum, and I'm coaching, and it's so much a part of my life. And then you go out into the real world, and you'll say some kind of sobriety lingo, and people kind of look at you a little bit weird, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm different environment, okay.
And I was going to ask you about that too. Now that you're actually running meetings now, which is amazing, and you do one hell of a job at it. What got you into the coaching side of it, where you actually became a coach, and you're actually taking clients on too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. So I've always enjoyed motivating people. I'm very much a challenge accepted kind of person. If someone, I don't know, comes to me with some obscure idea, I'm like, cool, let's do it. Like, that sounds fun. And so I've always been quite a good person to motivate people. And I think I just loved who I became in the Reframe community, and I loved the people there. And I reached out to Kevin, who's the boss dog of the coaches, and I was like, what do I got to do to work with Reframe? Like, and he was like, well, if you want to host meetings and be a coach, then you need a coaching certification. So I trotted off and got my coaching certification, and here I guess, I don't know, I can egg anyone on to do something dumb. Like, get a tattoo.
I want in on the tattoo next time. Okay. I want to be, I love that. See, I want to be an honorary, I'm not going to say Reframe member because I don't feel like I deserve that, but maybe like a groupie. I'm like a Reframe groupie. I just follow y'all around and fangirl over everybody.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a huge fan.
But yeah, so I don't know. I joke that I bullied Kevin into giving me a job. I didn't have to twist his arm too much. But there was definitely a need. Like, all of the meetings in America, they stop at like 3 p.m. New Zealand time. And like, when I was in Dallas, I definitely noticed that you guys have your meetings in the afternoon and evening, when it gets to that tricky part of the day where, it's the witching hour and you want to drink while you're cooking dinner, and it's that icky bit. And I was like, down here, we're missing out. We don't have that support. So it wasn't a hard sell. I didn't have to twist his arm too much, because I was like, I'll do the New Zealand, Australian, down under time zone witching hour, and support.
Which is wild, because for us it's 2:30 in the morning, where for you, I guess it's kind of like your midday.
Well, it's 7:30 in the evening. 7:30 p.m.
Oh, it's evening. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that. So it's 7:30 p.m. New Zealand, 5:30 p.m. Oh, Australia's got like 6 time zones now, so 5 time zones. So, but it's designed to cover that evening period when it's, you're leaving work, or you've just got home from work, and you're struggling, like, you're white knuckling through that time. Yeah.
You're shutting your brain off.
Yeah. You want to shut your brain off, and you want to escape, and you want to relax. And, I didn't have that luxury. I spent a lot of time just escaping to bed, like putting myself to bed at 6 o'clock. So I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near the kitchen right now. I'm outies. So I spent
I remember when you first joined Reframe, and one of the things that you loved the most about it is you would say, I get to talk to and hear the perspectives of all of these people from all over the world. Like, you were like, I think this is so great. You said, I thought that I would just be talking to people like in the States or in Tennessee, or maybe just on the East Coast. He's like, but Jess, like, there are people from all over the world, and it's incredible because you get to hear everyone's different perspectives and experiences. And I think that's great that you kind of stepped up and was like, hey, like, we don't have that same meeting, that same luxury. Like, we need that touch too. Because we can all, just when you think that you're like, I've nailed it, there's like I said, there's always something to level up to next. And so
I'm always surprised when there are so many Americans on my meetings. It's at like 2:30 a.m. or whatever time it is for you guys. It's, spans for some, I think for California at the moment, it might be 11:30
Yeah,
p.m.,
say
which is
West Coast to be like
it's
11:30.
not so bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, and there's people jump on, they're like, I can't sleep, I'm having a craving, like, I'm so thankful for this meeting. I'm like, oh, babe, I got you. Like, this is
That's right.
like, wow.
That's what you're there for.
It's
Yeah.
like Reframe's almost 24 hours with their meetings now, which is so cool. I mean, when Ryan and I joined, there was like maybe 3 meetings a day. Well, I think there were about 3 meetings a day for me, like that I could join, but it definitely there weren't as many as there are now. But yeah, so cool.
That's awesome. And to wake up every single day and know, like, I mean, I've seen you struggle, and I can imagine you the same way, Emma. Like, it used to be waking up in the morning was like your least favorite task, thinking about what that day was going to bring and what sort of things you had to remediate from the day before. And now, and I see this with you, I see this with my brother, and I see it in your face too, Emma, like that change of now you wake up every day and you're like excited, right? Like, what do my meetings look like? Who am I talking to? People who reach out to you, people who, I worked in nonprofit healthcare for a really long time, and I would imagine it kind of mirrors that same thing where, yeah, it can be exhausting to give so much of yourself, but like when you really know that you're helping people and they're helping you back and you're growing together, there is just no better feeling in the world than that. I mean, it's the most precious thing that we really have lost in the whole world, is the way that we stay accountable, the way that we stay healthy, the way we stay happy is to help each other, right? Is to give back and to constantly be filling each other's cups. And I can see the difference in your face just when you talk about coaching and talk about these meetings, like your face lights up. It was like when I said Mickey talking about her music, like
glowing.
I can tell that you're really passionate about it, and it's something that really just hits your heart.
It gives me so much energy. Like, I'm a very introverted person. I love curling up on the sofa with a book and a cup of tea, and I don't enjoy social, like, going out to events, and I'm very happy by myself. But there's something about being on these meetings and hosting these meetings and connecting with these beautiful people that it energizes me. But it's exhausting. Like, I'll come off a meeting and I've got to have a nap, but but I don't know, it's heartwarming. Like, it honestly, as we would say in New Zealand, it warms the cockles.
So I imagine, since getting sober, and you have two daughters, has the relationship really changed? There with your kids since becoming sober?
Yeah, I'm a much better mum. I know that for sure. Like, I'm much more present. It was actually my youngest daughter was the catalyst for me going completely alcohol free, because for the longest time I was like, I'm just going to cut back. I'm not interested in being alcohol free. I love drinking. I have so much fun having a gin in the sunshine and yada yada yada. Like, I was not interested. I was like, I'm just going to cut back and I'm going to take a break from drinking for a little bit and recalibrate, and then we'll be good to go. And my youngest, I was reading, she's big into Harry Potter, so we're on book 5 or 6 at the moment, book 5. So I was reading Harry Potter with her and giving her a goodnight snuggle, and I went to give her a kiss goodnight. She went, "Oh, Mum, like, your breath smells really bad," and she didn't want to kiss me or cuddle me, and I was like, "Oh!" Like, because I don't know how much wine I'd had to drink that night, but but it wasn't, whatever it wasn't good, and that hit, and it's weird to think, like, everyone talks about the rock bottom, like, what was your rock bottom? And it wasn't like, oh, I woke up at a police station, or I was, passed out on a bench and I don't know what happened. It was my daughter didn't want to give me a kiss goodnight. Like, that was my rock bottom, which doesn't.
That's a big rock bottom, though. I mean, don't sell that short. I mean, I'm a mom too, and it's one thing when we are hurting ourselves, but it goes against everything in our maternal instinct to think that we are sharing that with our children. Like, our daughter's 13, and she'll say, like, she has, and I know this is normal, but it, like, drives me crazy. She'll be like, what would you do if I went missing? And I'm like, don't
Don't put that into the universe.
Oh God. And I know that it's just her way of testing, and it's her little 13, everything in their heads is like drama, and I get it, but I'm like, don't say that, because the thought of that, of anything happening to you, literally just takes my breath away. And so I think that's huge. I mean, you may not consider it a rock bottom, but those are your babies. I get that.
I think it's such an important moment for me to share with people, because I was looking for my rock bottom. I was like, I'm not there yet. I haven't hit rock bottom. I haven't been arrested, or I haven't had a DUI, or I haven't, I'm not passed out on a park bench somewhere. So I'm okay. So I think it's just really important to share that that's not necessarily what a rock bottom is. It could be this tiny little moment, like a split second. That was, it wasn't this big catastrophic.
That's and I've shared on my speaker share, and I've shared on here too. It was, for me, it was very similar, because it involved my little girl. And I made a complete ass in front of my family, and then seeing her face, after that, I kind of, got myself away from the situation, just sat there and thought, wow, what the fuck am I doing? This is serving me zero good. Everything that has become terrible in my life has stemmed from one thing. And if I don't change this thing, I'm going to lose it all. And to me, so, I've never really thought about that until you just talked about it, really what, I always say, I don't have a rock bottom. To me, a rock bottom is when I'm no longer here. But I mean, for me, that may have very well been mine, because that was my deciding factor. Look, this is it for me. So thank you for that. I think you kind of sprung something in me that, hell, maybe that was my rock bottom. It very well could have been.
It's difficult too, and something that is beautiful that I see with you, Emma, and that I see with you as well is, your kids, our daughter, and your other children too, they see, and what you're teaching them is, at no point in your life is it too late to take inventory of your life and yourself. That I hope that your children, our daughter, anybody listening knows that, at any point in time, you can absolutely decide to get help and change. That there are people out there, there's a community. Our daughter suffers with a lot of anxiety, and she's really overcome it. But in elementary school, she had it really bad, to the point that sometimes she couldn't go to school, and it was really becoming disruptive. And at one point, I found out she was going to the bathroom and crying alone in the bathroom, and then washing her face and going back to class and acting like nothing happened. And I looked at her and I was like, never alone. Never alone. You don't have to necessarily cry in front of everybody. I get it, and being a kid and peer pressure, but always just let just one person know what's going on. A teacher, a counselor, a friend, just one person. You don't have to shout it, but one person. You don't ever have to struggle alone. And she never did from then. And sometimes, when she's going through stuff, sometimes she tells us, sometimes she tells, my best friend or grandparent or whatever. And we've tried to be really good about that. And seeing you get sober, and I don't know your daughters, but I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and speak on behalf of your daughters, that when you see your parent put into action, especially at a certain age, the things that we try to teach our kids, you can tell your kids anything in the world, but they don't really give a shit what you're saying to them. Right? They're looking to you to see what you're doing, and it's their turn to fuck up. I mean, I know that sounds terrible, but it's their turn to try to figure that out and navigate it. And the silver lining to it is, I would say, your daughters, your kids, I'll even remove myself from being Lily's mom for a minute, is that they firsthand see what it looks like when someone says, this cannot continue. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like or what that's going to look like, but I know that as of this moment, something has to change, and I'm going to show up. When you first went on the meetings, our daughter would always be like, I want to go in there with dad. And I would pull her aside and I would say no. And it was important to her too, to realize With our kids, everything's surrounded by them, but this is dad's time. He is focusing on himself. And she would make a little joke like, I'm his daughter. Nothing is more important than me. And I'm like, but okay, that's cute and all, but that is not true. And it teaches her to prioritize herself too. Same with your daughters, you know, and especially, not to be sexist, but with women, you know, there's a lot that goes into that too. And I'm glad that she's seen you as a man too, like be vulnerable and do that. She says stuff all the time. And she's like, Dad has a lot of female friends. And I'm like, well, because I think that's like the demographic he trusts, right? Which is fine. But she's seeing that softness in you as well as a man, which I think is really good. It definitely, as she's 13 and starting to get a little boy crazy, it has set that bar very, very, very
So
high.
good.
And I've already seen a difference. She is not a codependent kid. And I don't know how old your daughters are, but I just think that to see your parent struggle and then make a very noticeable change, even if they didn't realize there was a problem, it's life-changing for them too.
Yeah, so my daughters are 15 and 9, and the 15-year-old is way too cool for me. And, you know, like, just couldn't care less what I'm doing. I'm always an embarrassment, and I'm always, like, she had her prize giving, she got an award at school, a diligence award, and I was super proud. And the whole week leading up to it, she's like, "You're not allowed to cheer, Mum. You're not allowed to cheer. You be quiet. You're not allowed to embarrass me." And I was like, as soon as she gets that award, I'm
That's right.
like,
cheering.
Yeah.
the woman in front of me, like, put her fingers in her ears and turned around and eviled me, and I was like, "That's right." Like, I was, you're not. I don't care. I'll embarrass you all day. So I didn't know if she was even aware that I was doing this alcohol. Like, I mean, I hadn't hid it from my kids. But I didn't know that she was paying attention to me, because she's, 14, 15. She's very involved in herself. But she was telling a family friend, she must have told a family friend that I'd started working with Reframe. And this family friend was like, "She's really proud of you. Like, she thinks it's really awesome that you're doing this and you're hosting these meetings." I was like, "Oh." She hasn't, she's never told me that. She'd never tell me that. She'd never, I don't know, admit Mum might be okay, or whatever. But yeah, that felt really good. But my little one's very much like Lily, in that she wants to be on all the meetings and she wants to say hi. And I've always got my earbuds in, so she can never hear what anyone's saying, but she'll jump on the screen and yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lily has 3 older siblings, so she is like the baby. So she just and she's a great kid, don't get me wrong, but she's like the typical baby where and her older siblings are like way older than her. So she never really had to share like time and space with them. And they're just happy that she shows up at this point. And so she's just very used to the universe revolving around her, which is completely fine, because she has like a youngest sibling / only child kind of like hybrid thing. And it's made her kind of like step back too, to realize that, you got to allow people that time to process. And it's funny, with her friends and with anything, she's like, I just don't have patience or time for people who constantly need me checking in with them, knowing where I'm at, knowing what I'm doing, this, that, or another. Like, I need my space for me. And I've seen that evolve in her. And I really do attribute a lot of that to you getting sober and taking your journal time and working out and all of that, because they start to mimic. And with your daughter, my daughter's the same way. Like, Dad can do no wrong. He is so cool. He is the best. Oh my gosh, I love you, Dad. Mom, fuck you. Don't make that face. Gosh, you're so embarrassing. Bleh, like whatever. But at the same time, she is like a little mini me. You know what I mean? When they don't think you're paying attention, yeah, she's proud of you. She's 15 and she's stuck in her own head. But like, if she's at a party or she gets drunk or whatever, I always say, like, all of that stuff that she's watching or that she's hearing that you don't think, it's going to pop in and it'll come into focus and she'll remember. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. I haven't contemplated. I haven't come up with a theory or solution around my kids drinking yet. I don't know. I'm still not sure because in New Zealand the drinking age is 18, so you can buy alcohol at 18, which then means
really? I
that
didn't know that.
14, 15, 16-year-olds have very easy access to alcohol because everyone's got a brother or a sister or a boyfriend or whatever it's very easy to get your hands on alcohol at a younger age. And my daughter's 15, her friend, she's one of the younger ones of her friend group, and her friends are 16, and they're starting to be allowed to drink by their parents. Like, their parents are trying to, I guess, ease them into drinking and ease them into drink responsibly. But at the moment I'm saying a flat out no. I can't allow that. I'm not going to allow that. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where don't know where I sit on. When she does turn 18, when she does turn 18, she can do what she wants, right? She can go and buy her own alcohol if she wants. But I don't. Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet. Yeah.
I always say with parenting, it is like throwing like darts at a dartboard, blackout drunk, blindfolded, and dizzy. And you're not even hoping that you hit the target, like, and not even really the board. You just want to get
in the area.
The board. Like, if you're just in the vicinity, then like it's a win. And I think a lot of it too, listen to me giving parenting advice, with like, I know what I'm talking about, I don't. But I think a lot of it is teaching them just life skills, right? Like, it's not, I would say, like, it's not so much about drinking. It's about how do you handle any sort of adversity in life, because we talk about that with our daughter too. And, there are some things that are flat out no, but at the end of the day, they don't need our permission to do anything. And so we've already started talking to her about that, right? Like, if you go to a party one day or this, that, or another, like, you don't have to call me. You don't have to call your dad, because I know that's weird, but you have an arsenal of people you can go through to call, right? And you won't ever get in trouble for making smart decisions. We might have a conversation about safe behavior. But yeah, like, a little bit of fear is good for your kids, but at the same time, you understand they're young, and it's hard. It's hard because you know what you've lived through, and you know that they have to navigate some of that. And rescuing them is just not always the best thing to do. It's very difficult, and it's terrifying. And it makes me wonder on a daily basis why in the fuck I decided to have children and put myself through this. I mean, I say that like half joking, but I'm like, even when my daughter was like 3 months old, I remember calling my mom, and she lived in Alaska, and I was like, why did you let me do this? Oh my God, I can't do this. I'm so scared. Like, she's going to stop breathing. And that never stops.
Straight after my first daughter was born, I remember my mum coming into the hospital room, and I was like, I'm never doing this again, Mum. This is it. Like, that's, we're not in one. We do, but,
right. But no, and it's not about not loving being a mother, but it is. It's like literally walking, or I should say a parent, not a mother. It's not exclusive, but it's like walking around with your actual beating heart in your hand, and you're just hoping nobody knocks into it or bruises it or knocks it over. It's huge. Because you hurt yourself, you go down solo, but you have children. So I feel that. And I think you're setting a fantastic example for her, and you're creating a safe space for her. And I think that that's what's important.
And you know what the awesome thing is about being sober before my kids are full-on teenage. I mean, the 15-year-old's a full-on teenager, but I know that at any point, any one of them or their friends can call me, and I can come and get them.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a point where I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to have to send an Uber, or I'm going to have to, I will, you are at a party and you feel unsafe, or someone's drunk and throwing up and you need help, then I'm there. I'm going to be coming in my onesie, but I'll be there.
As a matter of fact, she's like, I will probably come in the most obnoxious onesie I've ever had in my life, just specifically to embarrass you, but I will be there.
I will be coming in my moo cow pajamas that have stains and holes on them, but whatever, they're my comfy.
Whatever works.
My mom was a lot like that. She was really good at that too. She was good about I never felt the need to sneak out or do anything like that, because she was always a safe space to talk. So I think you're doing a great job, Emma. I'm a fan.
So we're going to get you out. I'm going to get you out on this last question. And it's going to resort back to your drinking days. I've got to know, and surely you have one, because I've known you for a while now. And I hear some of the craziest shit come out of your mouth, which I love, by the way.
I'm excited.
Going balls deep into sobriety has got to be the best thing in the world. I'm going to have a t-shirt. we have merch for the show, but that will be a t-shirt. You do get full credit for it because it will have your name tagged on it.
I'll do it like a quote.
But what is like, your craziest, funniest pee story when you were drinking?
You know what? I was prepared for this question, and I'm Amy York stole my thunder a little bit, because I've been preparing for this. Like I was like, okay, I've got to come up with like what's the craziest, and I came up with this answer, and then I listened to Amy's podcast, and I was like, bitch, stole my thunder. I love her. I love Amy so much. I love her so much.
Oh, she's incredible.
But I'm gonna one up Amy in that. So she went and bought a Shiwi. We are in New Zealand. We're known for our Kiwi ingenuity. And we call it a number 8 wire mentality. We can make anything out of number 8 wire. So if you get like a soda bottle, like a Coca-Cola bottle or a Sprite bottle or whatever, like a big like 1.5 liter bottle, and you put it on its side and you cut the top off, it's like a DIY Shiwi, and you can pee out of a moving vehicle if you really wanted to. And because it's so big and it's got so much of a better volume and it's got a bigger nozzle, like a bigger to pour out of, you don't get the splashback. So I'm just one-upping Amy York's Shiwi moment. DIY a Shiwi out of a Coke bottle and you're good to go.
There you go.
I have a follow-up question for that. So when I think about cutting a bottle, I think, how can I ask this question without it being, ouchie to the labia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. With the jagged little,
sharp.
How do you overcome that part?
So it's sharp. You've got to be careful. I wouldn't hold it snug against you. You want to just aim it quite carefully. Yeah.
I might have to try this on our next road trip.
Right.
If you look over and you're like, what are you doing? I'll be like, mind your business.
Leave it to the
Watch
Kiwis.
the road. I like it.
Well, Emma, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It was a blast.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you. I love talking to a time traveler.
I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see you. I'm coming over in May.
I love you too.
So
absolutely, and we will be there.
I want to come visit you too.
Yeah, do it.
Will you be back in Dallas? Is that where you're going to be?
I think we're heading to Montana this year. We're going balls deep in Montana.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Janae told me that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll see you guys there.
I'll find a way. I will see you.
Yeah. All right.
Bye, Emma.
Bye, guys.
Girl. If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.